4 weeks from now, count it, 4 weeks from now, the entire NFL world will be in beautiful Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and it will be the night before the NFL draft. We still have time. We have the annual meeting next week. We have a lot to get to. And a lot to get to on this episode of Inside Coverage on Yahoo. Thanks for being here, friends. This is the how and the why, any and everything you need to know about the National Football League. A Wednesday off-season edition, reporting from respective home offices. My name is Andrew Siciliano. I am not the replacement host. Jori Epstein from New York, not a replacement NFL senior Yahoo NFL writer. The same can be said for Frank Schwab, not a replacement Yahoo senior NFL writer, reporting from home office in Colorado. We have not been locked out by the NFL. Fingers crossed. Jori, that does not happen. How are you?
I am doing great. And yes, I am not subject to the NFL saying they want to hold me more accountable for my performance. So I'm not being locked out for that.
Should be held accountable.
And I am not being told to do what should maybe be a full-time job for part-time job hours. So yeah, I know we'll get to the officiating, but Frank, how are you doing? Not locked out.
I am great. Great. By the way, Colorado, the Centennial State. We learned in a little powwow before we started taping.
Yeah, I made the old school joke. How are you in the Sunshine State, Frank?
And honestly, it took me quite a second.
State.
I was like, does he think I'm in California? And then I'm like,
no, I thought it was the Rocky Mountain State. It's the Centennial State. I did not know that.
Yes,
I would lose on Jeopardy if that were the final Jeopardy answer tonight.
It's okay. It's okay. We've all learned something here today, especially the NFL referees, I think, learned something today. So, yeah, we'll get to that.
Let's get to that. So there's really two parts to this story. And again, keep in mind, the annual meeting, the owners' meetings, as it's known, is next week. So they vote on everything, rule changes, anything. Everyone gets together next week. We have news today, late in the day, as we record this on Wednesday, that negotiations between the referees and the league, the union representing the officials and the league, have broken down. Supposed to be 2 days of meetings this week in Florida. They didn't even make it to lunch on day number one. Okay, so that's not good. The current deal runs out on May 31st. You say, big deal. Games aren't until August in the preseason. And really, it's week 1 in September. That matters. Yes, you're right. But officials also go to training camp and they go to OTAs and they work at rookie minicamp and they get their legs underneath them. They're there to talk to teams and coaches and implement the new rules and all that. So May 31 does matter, but you'd like them there and doing their job as soon as possible. That's only part of the story. The real part of the story is this. Yesterday, when we were handed the agenda and the items on which there could and should be votes next week, there's this one. The NFL is going to vote, and I'm going to tell you right now, they're going to pass it. My gut tells me a rule that for 1 year only, if there is a work stoppage, and this is important because if there is no work stoppage, this does not go into play. For 1 year only, they're basically going to let replay determine flags. They can change things. They can even drop flags. Now, who's replay? Is it a guy upstairs? Is it a guy in New York? We don't know. Just as a member of the NFL's replay staff. Dion Dawkins, the Bills offensive lineman, is going to be here a little bit later. I'm going to ask him his thought on this. But, guys, they'll be able to drop a flag, which is something that has been a red line that cannot be crossed. Drop a flag from replay for roughing the passer and intentional grounding and basically throwing a punch. But they could also pick up flags if replay thinks that they get a face mask wrong, a roughing wrong, a grounding wrong, a horse collar wrong, an illegal contact wrong, and even a pass interference wrong. That is a brave new world. I think this is leverage. I think, Jori, this is the league telling the referees, hey, guys, listen, if you're not here, we want to make sure we get it right. And if we lock you out and we have to use college refs, we're going to use this system next year. And Jori, once the system's in place, they're not taking it back.
Yeah, Andrew, I think that's so well said. And I was thinking the same thing earlier when I read this, is who amongst us has not heard that technology or artificial intelligence or a combination of the two are going to replace our jobs? It's the NFL saying, great, not only could it replace your job, Mr. and Mrs. officials, or sir and lady official, but also on top of that, we're going to have the system that could be better than you because it's going to be able to see things that you can. It's going to be able to take in more information that you can. So we're not worried about this. And I completely agree with you that this is a source of leverage. I'm not sure that's the only reason. I think they also do say, like, I don't know if the officials don't agree to what we want in the NFL, as we know in most collective bargaining agreements, whether that's with the officials or whether that's with the players, tends to have a lot more power and a lot more influence to get what they want. But if it doesn't happen, they do need to have a plan in place. And so there's the idea that, hey, we'll get some officials from college. We'll talk to who's in the college pool. But then they're not going to know the NFL game quite as well. And so we don't want to have lower caliber officiating because of that. Now, I think, first of all, if that does happen, I expect there to be lower caliber officiating. And I'm not saying that it's a particularly high caliber now. I'm of the opinion that the officials themselves are not the problem, but the system in which the NFL puts them is the problem. And I asked Executive Vice President Jeff Miller today about this on the NFL conference call. And I said, okay, well, you keep talking about, yeah, one of the sticking points is how much time you guys can spend with the officials. Well, you talk about this part-time job. Have you guys considered making it a full-time job? And if you don't want to say directly whether that's been on the negotiating table, could you at least go over the merits and the drawbacks to that conversation? He's like, it's really not about full-time versus part-time. It's just about having the access to train them and develop them and have that. But like, clearly, if these people didn't need to make their living through another job and the NFL was willing to invest, which they claim they are, I think this would be easier. So whether or not everyone needs to be full-times or just the head official as opposed to like the side judge, et cetera, I think you could debate that. But to me, I think that it is disingenuous of the NFL to suggest that they have done everything they can to make officiating as accurate, precise, and consistent as it could be.
Oh, absolutely. 100%. This all worries me, and it worries me a lot. And I know probably the common, there's one of two ways this can go for people out there, for football fans. They don't care because it's the officiating and it's March and whatever. But the second one is, well, these officials suck. So why don't we get rid of them all? Why don't we replace them with computers and blah, blah, blah? And I just, first of all, do we forget the replacement rest season? Do we forget that? That was an absolute disaster. It was awful. And I'm not just talking about the Golden Tate touchdown, okay? The Hail Mary was one of the worst calls in NFL history, but it was everything that led up to that. It was terrible. The games were just a mess because the officiating was so bad. And if anything, and I know nobody will agree with me on this, and that's fine, I grew an appreciation for NFL officiating during that time, how difficult it is, how much worse it can be. And I know everybody loves complaining about the refs and this call and that call. And I was watching Sunday Night Football and they slowed down the replay to tenths of a second. And I could see that there was a face mask and they didn't call it. So these officials are terrible. These officials are actually pretty good compared to what we could be dealing with, okay? I'm just telling you that. Going into some lockout of officials where we just, hey, college refs, come on from the Sun Belt and do these. It didn't work out well the first time. And also, look, I'm a big college basketball fan. It's that time of year, too. Too much investment in replay type of stuff. Even the ABS and baseball, I'm a little skeptical of. Yes, it sounds great on paper, but college basketball in particular, those games grind to a halt and it stinks. It's awful. You get down to the last minute and they're doing a 4-minute replay review on whether there's 11.2 seconds left on the clock or 10.9, and it kills the flow of the games. And if you're giving NFL more options to go to replay and say, was this pass interference? We're going to go to replay and look. These games drag on for 3.5, 4 hours, and it's not fun. It's not enjoyable to sit there and wait. Well, replay, Big Brother replay tells us, no, that wasn't intentional grounding. None of this is good to me. None of this. And I know that that's not going to be the common perception because everybody hates the refs and everybody thinks they stink. They don't stink as much as you think. Let's get back to the replacement ref era, and I will tell you how much they can stink. All right,
it's going to be this. We could do the whole show. By the way, you're going to want to hear Dion Dawkins coming up because he's great on this. Pre-tape, full disclosure, whatever. It's a pod. We're not doing live TV here. He is great on this, and we can go an hour. I'm with you on the basketball thing. Like there was a moment in one of the games, I think on Sunday, where they stopped to review the game you're probably talking about, Frank. Is it 3.2? Is it 3.4?
Yeah, it was in Iowa. Yeah.
One of the teams that didn't have a timeout was basically given a free timeout. Whether they're debating 3.2 or 3.4, like what's more important, the point two here, or the fact that you gave a team a free timeout? That's neither here nor there. They are doing this because of the Hail Mary, right? They're going, hey, if we have to do this, we don't want to do Hail Mary again, so we're going to put in replay to overturn it. But, hey, referees, once we put this in, once the cat's out of the bag, once we've
Right.
crossed the red line of dropping flags from replay, which we've all had conversations with league officials over the years, all of us, where they go, the one thing we will never do. How many times have we played the drinking? If I had $1 for every time Troy Vincent told me and Rich McKay told me that we are not inclined to drop flags from replay, we don't want to do that. I'd have many extra dollars in my pocket. They don't want to do that, but they're willing to threaten it now because if we pass this and referees, let's say you miss a couple of games, oh, but hey, maybe this worked. Maybe we saved a game week 1 without you because we went to replay. We're gonna keep this. And now we're really always looking over your shoulder. I also, and I'm an outlier here, I think, and Jori, I think you're going to fight me on this. I think the idea that we need full-time officials is a red herring. I think it is totally irrelevant. Because are you telling me that in February and March and April that Joe Schmo being an accountant or a school administrator or an attorney is somehow affecting his performance on Sunday, or even on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday during the week, that it's affecting his performance on Sunday? And if we make them full-time officials, are we going to tell them that they are forbidden from having a daily job? Like in the offseason, they are forbidden from plying whatever trade that they've worked their whole life to do, and they put money in their pocket. They can't get extra income. To me, like the full-time officiating thing is to me, it's a nonsense argument.
Well, here's what I'd say, Andrew, and obviously you know this quite well because you're someone who does balance multiple jobs at once and has done that. But when someone has a full-time job that takes up the primary amount of their time and gets their primary responsibilities, that doesn't mean they can't have side gigs. And I'm not saying the officials can't have side gigs. I'm saying that the NFL should be investing enough hours into their development and training that they are getting paid like a full-time job and thus are able to be there for the number of hours of the full-time job. But don't just say you were going to decrease the dead period where we can't talk to them and can't train them. No, you have to compensate them accordingly for their time. Sure. My thing is, and I know we talked about flag football earlier in the week, and I'll have a story on Yahoo later this week about what the flag football and USA football people think about tackle football players and kind of what we learned this week. And it wasn't just do you have your quick twitch and do you know how to pull a flag? A lot of it was, are you willing to put the time on task? And if the NFL wants players in the Olympics, they're going to have to put time on task into flag because it's not the same thing as tackle. So I don't care if these people are officiating high school games or this or that. They need to have more time on or I should say, they will be better if they have more time on task, because the same way a quarterback is better at pattern recognition of defenses, if they've spent more time repping it, an official is going to be better at that quick reaction. Here's what the call is. Here's everything I need to take in at once. And here's how I need to understand the whole picture if they've spent more time on it. That's just how the human brain works, and that's how expertise and memory work. And so when I hear the NFL on our call today say, oh yeah, well, we have many more tools in the toolbox with replay assist, and it's not even only about what we're adding. We also have that ability to, we already review scoring plays, we already review turnovers and threaten this. I really don't think that's what it's about. And yes, I think the NFL should be using technology, but I think the issue with the technology is not that they're not using it, it's that they don't have strong communication and consistent protocols between how NFL headquarters in New York worked, replay assist up in the booth at the stadium and on the field. And sometimes they communicate the calls and some of the crews don't. So to me, it's the alignment on all of that is the issue. But I'm not going to be convinced that more time on task would not make the officials better.
It's very interesting. That's a great argument. That's the best one I've heard for that, because I've always thought, like Andrew, like the biggest problem with officiating, the most mistakes are not these things where if you're studying it 24 hours a day that you're going to get, there's no procedural problems. Rarely. Sometimes, once in a while, there's a procedural problem. It is just the game moves at the speed of light, and it's impossible to catch every holding call or every pass interference call. But you're right. Like, I guess if you're repping this more often, if you're watching it more often, you might see things a little clearer instead of being an accountant and doing taxes on April 15th. So that is a good argument. I still think it's a nominal, improvement, because I just, NFL officiating is always going to be impossible. The game has gotten so fast and so big, and they're asked to look for 17 different things on every play. I mean, it just looking for holding or illegal hands on the face, or everything that goes on that you could call on a play. You're looking for it all at once. Well, these guys who are 280 pounds running 4.5 40s are crashing into each other. So I don't know that you can fix it. I really don't. I think that there's always just going to be significant flaws with officiating because the NFL game is so fast and so impossible to we've taled about this, Reese, that if you've ever been on the sideline of an NFL game, it's like, oh my God, the game is unbelievable. It's like watching a NASCAR race from the first row. Like it is unbelievably fast. I just don't know how you can, I don't know how you could train guys to get used to that. And maybe time on task. That is a great argument, but I just don't know how you can fix it because it's always going to be really, really, really difficult.
So let's say this goes into play. Let's say there is, whether it's this year with replacement officials or next year, 2 years from now, let's say this is the standard where any and everything can be reviewed. My question is, and this is kind of something that's been unanswered here, is who's actually making these calls? And we saw this, the conversation after the Bills-Broncos game. Like, are there enough hands on deck and eyes in the Art McNally room at 345 Park if there are 8, 9, 10 games at 1 o'clock Eastern time to make these calls? The way the rule is written, the way replay is written, it's either the VP of officiating, Walt Anderson, or a designee. Okay, well, who are the designees? And you don't often get a straight answer as to who is making these calls. Let's say it's week 1, we have replacement officials, and there are 9 games at 1 o'clock Eastern time. Well, let's say 7 of those 9. Well, no, forget about it, because under these rules, basically anything can and will be reviewed in real time. Are you going to have 9 trained, accountable sets of eyes on these games making these snap-second decisions? And who are these people? Like the old Seinfeld bit, who are these people? Like, and will they be held accountable? Will they be doing? Will there be a pool designee able to speak to them after the game? It's a whole nother can of worms.
That's a very interesting question on the pool designee.
They're all good questions, but I think when it comes down to it, the NFL keeps trying to make this argument of, and they said this on our call today, we will pay for performance. That's their whole thing. We want accountability. The better you perform, the more you get paid. You get paid less than you get docked if you don't perform well. And that's great, but I really think in order for them to be credible saying they will pay for performance, they need to be setting up all the technology that is going to reflect the best performance and give the officials the best option. So when I'm hearing repeatedly that, hey, at 1 p.m. it's a lot harder to get the good calls in a game, both because of how many people are at that station in New York and because the broadcast networks that are coming to these games and not bringing their first team crews don't have the same level of camera angles. Well, if you as the NFL are not investing in those camera angles for the 1 p.m. games that you are for the Sunday night football, then you're not paying for performance in full. You are not willing to say, you know that you have more accurate officiating when the broadcast crews bring the better cameras. Well, why is that the broadcast crew's responsibility? It's not. And so you need to figure out how to get that in all of the stadiums. And I know they've improved that in recent years, but I still think when we see how different the officiating is from window to window, that it's hard to feel confident that this is all being paid to have the best possible performance the way that they're paying for the best possible players.
And by the way, real quick, what does perfect, let's say, officiating mean?
Right.
Because we could do, I promise
there's no such thing.
I know. But I can
tell you how they define it.
But
there's 2 things that
by
they
calling everything, because I can go to all 22 of any single game and pick a play at random and go find a holding that wasn't called. I can. And I've done it before. I did it for a post many years ago. I promise you, if you have a set of however 5 people on every, all these 9 games Andrew talked about, they're going to be looking for things. Oh my God, that was a holding right there. Stop the game, call it flag. We're going to get twice as many penalties. Do people want that? Do people want that?
Holding is not part of this.
Yes, I know. You're right. Yeah. But I mean, if we're expanding this, it's going to keep expanding, and we all know that.
You're right.
But Frank, one of the things is consistency in the calls. And so accuracy and consistency are the 2 things that officiating crews are judged on by the league office each week. And the challenge is they're kind of really 2 parts of the same coin, because you want to be accurate within a consistent framework. And that's within a crew. Hey, if this crew has tendencies for the first 4 weeks, and then a team is saying, you got to be extra careful on this specific pass rush point or this specific chipping point. Well, on week 5, the NFL does not then want that officiating crew to change its tendencies. They want it to be consistent to the tendencies. Now, also, you want to be accurate, which is, yes, there is a degree of interpretation in terms of how physical they allow games to get, how much they let guys play, but be fair to both teams within a game and over the course of the season. and be within that framework of accuracy. And then wherever you choose in that framework, be consistent. So I know that's not the most, it's not a clear rubric to the point where no one can debate it, but that is the framework that they are trying for because, like you said, there is this open to interpretation element.
Yeah. A couple of things. Number one, last year they did, Jori, great point about the cameras and what's available, and certainly the primetime games have more angles. They did make it standard last year that every game has to have certain camera angles, including a camera straight down the goal line from the pylon. So that now is standard. Every NFL coaching staff, because they all have analytics crews and they all have research crews and all that, they scout the officials. So they know coming into your point about tendencies, hey, this crew always calls holding. This crew calls more illegal contacts. This crew calls more DPIs. This crew calls OPIs. And those are coaching points presented to not only the assistants and the game planners during the week, but to the players usually on a Friday as well. Okay, or Saturday night before the game. That is absolutely part of the planning. It's also something with that information that coaches know in their pregame conversation to mention to the officials. Hey, I know you guys call a lot of this. You should really keep an eye on that guy on the other team, right? This is all part of research. It's also just called good game planning and good coaching and good preparation. This thing is really interesting. I don't think we're not going to a world in which we're going to have less technology. We're going to a world where we have more technology. The question is when and how much. Does it happen this year? I don't know. But we are going to move to a world eventually where replay is used more and more and more. Whether it's a leverage point right now that actually gets exercised remains to be seen. Real quick on Aaron Rodgers, we sit here a month before the draft. We have not heard anything new. Jori and I are still somewhat skeptical of the whole Rodgers appearance on McAfee last month or a couple of weeks ago. Was he sending a message, hey, make me an offer? I don't know. We do know this, however. Bob Harlan had a memorial service. The Packers legend, the former team president, the father of both Brian Harlan, the agent, and Kevin Harlan, the broadcaster. And at that memorial, Mike McCarthy said, hey, would love to have Aaron back. A reunion would be nice. Jori, are you hearing anything new at all?
Yeah, I think the general league sentiment is that the Steelers think Aaron is coming back and are planning accordingly. But keyword here is think, not that they know. So I think Aaron seems to be leaning that way, or so the Steelers believe. And thus they got someone like Michael Pittman. Thus they didn't sign another veteran quarterback yet. They did re-sign Cam Hayward and have all of that. And they're kind of trying to maximize on that older veteran window, even if it's not your team for the next 3 to 5 years. So to me, there's still this uncertainty, though. And I also think that is reflective in the fact that Kirk Cousins still doesn't have a job. I don't think no one is willing to sign Kirk Cousins right now, but I think if you're a Kirk Cousins or a Jimmy Garoppolo, there's a few guys like this. You have to decide, what do you value most? Do you value the most money? Do you value the best chance to win a Super Bowl? Do you value the best chance to start? And the Steelers are going to offer maybe two of those. I would say they could offer a chance to start, and they offer a better team than a team like Arizona does, and then more of a chance to start than a team like the Raiders do. And so I think that the Steelers are an important piece because of Aaron, but also beyond Aaron, that there are still going to be some people saying, hey, until we're sure Aaron's going there, why don't we just wait? And there are some in the league who think that the Steelers are pretty high on Will Howard, their Ohio State late round pick from last year. I think they really like him. I think he's a great from a personal standpoint, they really like him, and I think he's probably developed. I am not of the belief that Will Howard has already shown them enough to prove that he could be their guy this year. That doesn't mean he won't get to that point, but I think you have to realize is this is a Steelers organization that kind of viewed him developmentally last year based off where they drafted him. Now you have Mike McCarthy come in as head coach, and Mike McCarthy grew up in this league, so to say, especially as the head coach position in Green Bay, which is the most patient quarterback franchise in the entire league by far. And so to me, to think, oh, Mike McCarthy's high on Will Howard, it feels more like a leverage play to me than a reality, because even if he likes him and he likes his developmental prospect, Mike McCarthy has a long history of believing in developing quarterbacks, and I'm just not convinced that Will Howard is already to the point where he's shown you he can be that guy. Maybe he competes, like if you have a Kirk Cousins, he competes, and then you say, okay, well, middle of the season, who are you feeling better about? But I think they want Aaron Rodgers back.
I just find it hilarious that a month ago the Steelers were like, we're not doing this again where we wait. You have to. Yeah, you are.
We're doing it again.
We don't want it to drag on.
We don't want it to drag. It's dragging on because now you're beholden to a quarterback who's 43 years old. Great plan, guys. Great plan. Like that's what could possibly go wrong. He's going to be 43 on December 2nd. Come on. I know.
Yeah, that's late in the season.
Playoff time.
This is, in baseball terms, this is his year 43 season.
Yeah, it's true. Andrew knows. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
And now he's 43 and he was average last year. Now you are just held hostage by this guy again. What are you thinking? Why?
I mean, as much. Right. I mean, I was more focused on Omar Khan saying at the combine that the door is open for Aaron because we know that he said he had full faith in Kenny Pickett before trading him at the combine. But you're right. Maybe I should have also been skeptical about we're not looking for this to drag on a while because
only till like July 4th.
Right
only till like July 4th this time.
The morning of the draft.
Unbelievable.
The world keeps turning. Coming up next on Inside Coverage, we'll ask a Pro Bowl offensive lineman what he thinks of this let's drop a flag from replay idea. Also, why is Joe Brady going to be different than Sean McDermott? Dion Dawkins is next on Inside Coverage. I love when this guy is on the show because he's always smiling. It's kind of fitting who he's here on behalf of today. We'll get to that in a second. Look at that smile from friend of the program on Inside Coverage again. It's been a while. Dion Dawkins, how the heck are you, man?
I'm good, man. I'm smiling. I'm drifting. I'm wrestling. I'm enjoying life, brother. I'm enjoying life.
What is Dion Dawkins' off season like?
My off season is a lot of working out, but a lot of fun, you know, like, I'm blessed that I have like a personality and myself. So I dive into my personality. Like the world sees Dion as the football player all season long. So I try to let the world see Dion as Dion all off season. Which is, I
was kind of surprised I didn't see you at that flag football game in LA last weekend. You don't want to play flag, man?
I would love to play flag, but, you know, that's kind of the skinny man sport. You know, there's really not a big man lane in that. So, you know, I would love to support. I would love to, like, be there and content it out. But besides that, just let the skinny guys do and what they do. They had a hard time, too. So, you know, it would have been harder for me.
What'd you think of that? I mean, they got their butts kicked.
Yeah. You know, it's a different world. Like, we play combat sport. Like, we are combat fighters, players, like, you know, that is nothing combat about it. It's just speed. Like everything about that is just speed and skill, you know? So going from being an NFL combat player to going just from being flag 7-on-7, it's just two different worlds, man. And I think it's going to be a hard transition for any football player that isn't just basically speed. Like, I think like a Tyreek Hill, like he would destroy that, you know? All he has to do is just run away from people and just be shifty and fast. Cool. But when it comes down to like the bigger guys, you know, it's just a harder world.
I think Kyler would be great too. I don't know if he's expressed any interest. He'd be awesome. Joe Burrow says he wants to play.
Yeah.
But if I'm the Bengals and I'm watching Joe, like, quite literally get his pants pulled down and trying to, you know, jump around in a phone booth and trying to avoid my flag getting pulled, I'm going, no way.
Right. Yo, even thinking about players, like even like a Cole Beasley, right? Like a Cole Beasley, he would be so good in that sport, right? Like I've played with Cole, he's so shifty. Like all the shifty guys, if you're shifty, you're small where they can shift and move and it's hard for people to touch that flag, you know, it'll be perfect. The bigger, I think, the tougher.
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned Cole Beasley, so let's talk about the Bills.
Yeah.
What if somebody stops you on the street, wherever, you're getting coffee, and they say, Dion, what's Joe Brady like? What do you tell them?
Well, the good thing is if they ask me about Joe Brady and where I'm currently at, I'm in Florida. So if they say, Dion, what's Joe Brady like? I'm going to say he's Florida, right? He is Florida. He is swagged up. He's energized. He's happy. He's always smiling. Like he gets like this is where he was born and raised at. And, to say this for like what it is, like a cool dude that looks like that coming from Florida, he just got that culture in him, man. So it's just the vibe that our locker room has and needs, that he can connect with so many different players just because he's from Florida. He's been through it. He understands, lingo. He understands, like, he's like one of us. Like, he's like literally just one of us. So I would say that he is just a dope, cool dude from Florida that loves ball, and he'll shoot you straight. He'll tell you what you need to, but he'll also laugh and tell a joke. And as a player coach relationship, it's beautiful to have somebody that can turn it on and turn it off at any time.
Hey, you just used the word need. Help me out. Why does your locker room need that right now?
I would say need it because sometimes, man, like being on a mission for so long and not getting over that hump, it could weigh on you. And, like for all other new guys like coming in, it's just a different spaz, right? Like, or spazazz. Even obviously, and my dogs like it too, right? Like they are different spaz. So a spazazz, but I think Joe Brady is the guy culture needs to shock the world. Like, oh my God, like they just have a different, swagger bucket about them, right? Like their swag is just different. Like we're not in military like uniforms like Big D, which is also a great way of coaching. It's just a different course of your team, so it's just a different course.
You get what I'm asking, right? We're not asking you to like, hey, why is Joe better than Sean? I think all of us agree sometimes change for the sake of change can be a good thing. Like you said, after a while. There are a lot of people, though, that step back and go, okay, I get that, but, like, how would Joe have won the game in Denver? Like, would it have been that much different? So, like, that's a fair question, or it's hard to wrap your head around that.
Right. I would say that I don't think that if we had Joe as the leader that we would have won a game, or we would have won more games. Like, and McDermott knows like how to win games. Like it's just something that nobody knows will ever know. Like, I don't know. So I don't know. But the Denver, you could say that in any sense, right? Like, oh, like these guys won 17 games and they could have won 18 if they had him like as a coach. Like, who knows? Who knows, man? Like I don't know. But I think that Joe Brady is a good guy. And I think whatever the upstairs management is doing, I support them. And the best part about it is Josh is familiar with Brady. He's not a new face. He's not just a guy from off the street. He's a familiar face, and we got him. We're going to go ahead and do it. And Josh is comfortable. And when it comes down to it, as long as Josh is comfortable and has a relationship with whoever is our leader, we all go as Josh goes. So I support it.
Nice house, by the way.
Hey, I work hard, man. Thank
you. You work hard. You deserve nice things.
Go ahead.
Yeah, totally. Josh is about to be a dad.
He is.
Yeah.
He is.
How's that going to change him?
He'll have a little bit more superpower touch to him, and even with everything that and we're doing, he'll smile bigger. Josh will smile just that much bigger, right? And I think the dad role changes men, right, for the better. And with a kid like this, it's only for the better.
Yeah, he's got a big smile. And it's part of the reason, obviously, he's really good at football too, right? It's part of the reason I think everyone loves him. I promise I'm getting to your smile thing shortly. And you've been doing a good job smiling here on the tour of your Florida estate. Did you see this thing yesterday? Because it's the owners' meetings next week, so they vote on things. There's no tush-push vote this year, so evidently that's still thumbs up. Everyone can do that. So Josh, I'm sure, might like that. There might be a work stoppage with the officials. I'm sure you've heard about that. They're negotiating. The league is with the officials. You're making a face.
Did not know
we
that.
don't know. You got all off season to figure it out. Okay.
Did not know that. Come on.
There is a proposal that they're going to vote on next week, and this only goes into effect if there's a work stoppage, like if there's replacement officials, in which basically they would allow the eye in the sky, whether it's New York or somebody upstairs, to correct obvious mistakes in real time by the replacement officials. So in other words, if they miss roughing the passer on Josh, the official upstairs, if it's a replacement crew, can drop a flag. If they miss intentional grounding, they could drop a flag. They could also pick up a flag if these replacement officials call a face mask and there's no face mask, or call roughing and there's no roughing. You like that.
Listen, you're my guy, okay? I'm getting excited because I know this, right? They throw flags at offensive linemen all day long, especially me. Holding, 73, holding, da-da-da-da-da. Majority of them, when we go back and we look at the film and we send an hour, it's always that was not a holding call. That was not a flag. That was not a flag. That was not a flag.
Wait a minute. Holding's not on my list.
Oh, my gosh.
It's face mask, roughing, horse collar, grounding.
Of course.
If you throw a punch.
For the skinny guys.
Right. If you throw a punch and they miss the punch, they can fix that. And also, there is a pass interference. They could pick up a pass interference flag, but they can't drop
not a
one.
catch. What about a catch and not a catch? Is that on there?
It's not on my list, but that might be under like this like vague, obvious miss thing.
I'm over it. It is. If they're gonna go back and review plays, listen, bro. This is the first year that the protector of the year has been a thing. There should be something for every caliber of player. Kickers, from special teams all the way to the big guys, right? If there's a flag thrown, they should be able to stop the game, review, is this, or is it not? Yes or no? It's what it is. And then now us as players, we have to be more disciplined, so there is no flags. And I think if they're going to check them on. Simple as that. Because I want mine back. That helps a player's career. Like if you're going like to the table and you're like, oh, well, you had 7 flags, you had 6 flags, but, behind closed doors, like we know that, 6 of them were not really, but, it's just the way the game goes. No, I would rather them check them all, if you ask me. So, especially catch and no catch. Well, like catch and no catch should be like one of the biggest things. That was like one of the biggest things of the end of the season. Like, was it a catch? Broncos game? You asking me? I was there on the field. It was a catch. Catch is a catch. But I'm just a guy. Trying to be great. If they go and check it and review it, and review it so we can do our thing.
Dion Dawkins, I love you, man. Thanks for giving us the tour of the house. Hopefully you enjoy some time off in the off season before we all get back to work.
Yes, sir. Love you guys. Come drifting, man.
Come drifting. One of these days.
Come on.
I will.
Come drifting.
I'll do it. I'll come down to Florida. It's Inside Coverage on Yahoo. Thanks to Dion Dawkins. Fun stuff there. And thanks for the little tour of his home in Florida. We're back. It's Jori. It's Frank. It's yours truly. Hi. We're back talking about quarterbacks 1 month before the draft. And everyone agrees Fernando Mendoza is going number 1. I mean, the hay's in the barn, right? It's a fait accompli. Well, I mean, it isn't technically until the card is actually turned in on the night of April 23rd. Dan Orlovsky knows more about quarterback play than I do. I don't think it's a personal shot at either of you, Jori or Frank, if I say that collectively, all of us together, Dan Orlovsky, having played in the league, still knows more about playing the position of quarterback at the college level and the NFL level than all of us combined by a factor of whatever. So keep that in mind. Dan yesterday caused some waves by saying, actually Monday, that I think Ty Simpson has better tape than Fernando Mendoza. Mendoza has the size. He's got all those other things, right? And he plays good football, and he certainly is tough, and he played well down the stretch, and he beat all the big boys, and he won a national championship for little old Indiana, to the school that when the season began had the worst record in the history of organized D1 college football. But he thinks Ty Simpson with fewer traits actually has better tape. This has caused a you-know-what storm, right? McAfee gets mad at him and basically says he's in the tank for CAA because Dan's at CAA and Ty Simpson's at CAA, and the whole thing gets heated. There are plenty of people that like Ty Simpson. There are plenty of people like me who tell you there's no such thing as a second-round quarterback. Sorry, Tyler Shuck, you're an outlier here. Sorry, Jalen Hurts, you're the outliers. If people like you in the second round and we think you're a second-round quarterback, you're going to go in the first. So I think he's going in the first. But really, Dan's the only guy, maybe Todd McShay. Todd McShay's talking him up as well on his show, that says, I can make an argument that Ty Simpson is better than Fernando Mendoza. Simpson in Alabama had a pro day today. Ohio State also had a pro day today. Field Yates over to ESPN, our buddy, is reporting that Ty Simpson is going to have a private workout for the Jets. Big deal. Jets obviously pick into the top 5. They could use a quarterback, certainly. And the Jets have plenty of picks. They've made plenty of trades. They picked twice in the first round. Jori, a lot of this is a pullback of the curtain on how the sausage is made before the draft. There's always something to argue about. What do you think of all this?
Yeah, I think it's interesting because what are we trying to ask here? Are we trying to ask who is going to be most liked by teams? Are we trying to ask who is going to be the best quarterback in 2026? Or are we trying to ask who is going to be the best quarterback over the next 5 to 10 years? Like, did Carson Wentz get there before Jared Goff out of the 2016 class? But Jared Goff had a longer career. And of course, Dak Prescott in the 4th round had as long of a career as Jared Goff so far, and much longer than Carson Wentz. Like, there's kind of these questions of there's not one metric of success. And so Fernando Mendoza might be more ready because of the experience he's had. I think he is. Now, Ty Simpson's traits might be something that someone else likes better. Anthony Richardson, people liked his ceiling better than a lot of people, but his floor was really low. And so I'm also curious, are we talking about Ty Simpson as a player who's going to come into your building and start at the beginning of 2026, in the middle, or 2027 and beyond? Because I feel totally different about that pick based on it. Now, I do think that if you're a second-round pick, talent at quarterback, as you said, you get picked in the first round because of the relative supply and demand. So I agree with that take. And I do think that back half of the second round feels like a good position, whether that's the Jets at 16. Again, I don't think they're going with him at number 2, but they've also, I think, got 16 and 33. So whether it's that or something else, I think is questionable. It's also interesting that our draft experts in-house, Nate Tice and Charles McDonald, have a big board, 50 players, and they've got Garrett Nussmeier as the second quarterback on there in the 30s, but they do not have Ty Simpson in their top 50 players.
I just kind of laugh at this because we do this just about every draft year. Go back. Like, I remember, like, Andrew Luck's clearly going to be the number 1 pick. And then there was like, no, Robert Griffin. He's actually going to be the better quarterback. And it just seems like, no, it's not Caleb Williams, it's Drake May, and which might be true. But we couldn't get to that point last year with Cam Ward. Nobody was talking themselves into Jackson Dart being better than Cam Ward. But we get bored with this. We can't just keep repeating for 5 straight months. And Fernando Mendoza is going first overall. We need to spice things up. This is no shot at Dan Orlovsky, who's phenomenal breaking down. I love watching his breakdowns. Very smart, played the game, all this kind of stuff. But I do wonder if even like subconsciously the boredom creeps in. And I'm sure Ty Simpson is a good player. I'm sure Dan Orlovsky looks at his tape and is like, wow, this guy's really good, actually. But it's not just good enough to be like, yeah, Ty Simpson's good. He's the second best quarterback in the class. It's like, well, he's better than Fernando Mendoza. He's probably not. Like, there's a lot that goes along with this other than just some plays on tape. Look, Ty Simpson was hurt a lot of last year. That's a red flag. 15 starts. Didn't we learn something from Anthony Richardson? An experience over and over and over again, not just Anthony Richardson, but through history. If you have below, I think it's like, 20 starts or whatever that benchmark is, you usually do not do well in the NFL at quarterback. So I don't know. I think Ty Simpson's a good player. I don't know that I'm convinced he's better than Fernando Mendoza in any way. I just think it's March 25th, and we're like, what are we going to talk about for the next 4 weeks, as you pointed out, Andrew? Yeah,
I think Ty Simpson's going to be a winning NFL quarterback. Do I believe in him so much to take him number 1? No, I don't. And I believe in Mendoza more. Now, you have to rank guys. This is how it goes. The CAA thing, in full disclosure, my agent's at CAA, my broadcast agent in my business dealings. That thing felt a little bit off. There's so much crossover these days. Yes, CAA reps football players, and it represents on camera broadcasters, right? Athletes First was always a football business. Now they represent broadcasters as well. There's a lot of crossover. I mean, there are only so many agent, like I represent football players only out there. There's plenty of them, and those people all work the phones. They'll text you, they'll call you. Jori and Frank, you know this. Hey, my guy did really well. Like, we could all go through Twitter from the reporters and see, hey, this guy's saying that so-and-so who tore his knee last year is now better than ever, and he ran a 4.25 yesterday in a private workout in his backyard. All right? Like, yeah, that's an agent, like, sending a text saying, hey, like, people are calling. That's the job of an agent, to pump up a guy. But to suggest that Dan is doing this because of the agency, I don't buy that. I thought that was kind of a low blow. I just don't think that's necessarily fair. Ty Simpson is going to be a good NFL quarterback. And I think Garrett Nussmeier has something in common. They both are guys that battled through injuries last year for teams whose seasons did not end the way that they thought they would end. Obviously, LSU far worse than Alabama. And they're both coaches' kids. So when you put them on the board, both of these quarterbacks are going to impress in the pre-draft process. And I said it about Nussmeier right after the season ended. I said, if he is healthy, he's going to throw out the combine and people are going to love him. And the same goes for Ty Simpson. And it's true. He looked good today at Alabama Pro Day. But can I let you guys in on a secret? Not you two, you guys know this, but those listening or those watching, it isn't news that a quarterback looked good at a pro day.
It'd be news if he didn't. Exactly,
Frank. It's only news if a quarterback didn't look good at a pro day. Can you think of a quarterback that didn't look good at a pro day? There's one notable quarterback of recent vintage that did not look good at a pro day. Anybody?
Was it Darnold?
Sam was okay. I was there for that.
It was
good.
in the rain,
Okay.
right? Yeah, if I remember right. Darnold was in the rain.
It wasn't raining that day. Goff was in the rain.
Zach Wilson?
No, Zach Wilson looked amazing. Remember, he did that thing where he did the little half roll, he flipped the hips, and then he dropped it 60 yards in the bucket in the middle of the end zone. That everyone tried to replicate that on the subsequent pro days that year.
Was it Johnny with his camel shorts? Is that what
Johnny showed up, remember, with the president, the former president, and the first lady in the house, and the dog with the Secret Service, and he was in camo, and Drake was blasting on the speakers. Remember that one? No, It was Teddy Two Gloves. It was Teddy Bridgewater because he didn't wear the gloves. He didn't wear the gloves, and he looked bad. Like, we're watching it going, yikes, this is uncomfortable.
And ended up having a really good career.
He ended up having a really good career. And you know what? When he got to the NFL, he put the gloves back on, and he was fine. But it was news. It was news that he wasn't good. All quarterbacks look good at pro days. Julian Sayin looked really good today at Ohio State Pro Day, and all he was doing was throwing to Carnell Tate. He's not draft eligible. But next year, you better believe that all the GMs and every single NFL team was in Columbus today was taking a note. Julian Sayin looked really, really good today because, of course, he did. All right, we got a lot to squeeze in here. You guys want to do the Maxx Crosby thing?
Let's do it.
Ryan McFadden on ESPN yesterday wrote a story where the headline here is the Ravens were fearful, and kind of what we've implied a little bit of the long-term future of Maxx Crosby's knee. Now, you could say the whole thing stinks. You could say they could have handled it better. I think we all agree. He's writing, they thought he has a degenerative knee issue, and they think it's going to be an issue sooner rather than later. That's fine. What's interesting to me in this story, other than that, is the fact that Ryan reports, Jori, this is your wheelhouse here, the Cowboys, that they offered 3 different deals, and the Raiders didn't pull the trigger on any of these deals, opting for the deal that fell through, 2 number ones from Baltimore. One of the deals was their second first-round pick, number 20, and Osa Odigizua, who eventually got traded to the 49ers. The other deal was number 12 and a third-round pick, and then ultimately the Cowboys went to number 12 and a second-round pick, but didn't want to include Osa. And those are the 3 deals that the Raiders said no to. Your reaction?
Yeah, I mean, clearly Baltimore offered more when they offered 2 first-round picks, and so it makes sense that they were the ones who got the near trade done. I think for the Cowboys, they know they need an edge rusher. They got rid of Micah Parsons last year. They are retooling their defense. They also are looking for something a little bit different under new defensive coordinator Christian Parker. That's why Osa Odigizua is not in Dallas anymore. Yes, he was making about $20 million a year, but there's also this element of Osa is agile. He's a pass rusher. He's a much better defensive tackle for an attacking front, where he can go rush the passer and he can just be responsible for one gap. Now that they want kind of a 3-4 front, they want these defensive tackles who can play 2 gaps at a time and be more run stopping. And so Osa's skill set is more valuable to other teams now than it is the Cowboys, and that's why he was part of the trade bait. But I think overall the compensation, the Cowboys were like, look, we got this draft capital from the Micah Parsons trade. We want to use it. We like Maxx Crosby. They like his game. They like his veteran leadership track record. They need a guy. I don't even think it's that crazy. I know everyone's like, oh, of course they trade away Micah and then go for a guy who's not that dissimilar to him. I do think they're different players. They're also making different amounts of money. They have different locker room styles. So I understand a willingness to say, hey, if we get solid value or at least okay value, then we'll do it. But at the top of the market, we can't. I think the last thing you should realize in terms of how we spin this forward is I don't expect the Cowboys to trade for Maxx Crosby between now and training camp. Now, granted, I didn't expect them to trade Micah Parsons in August last year. That said, I do think if a team like the Cowboys or, I don't know, the Buccaneers or one of these teams that was interested in Maxx Crosby starts the season really strongly, but feels like an edge rusher can put them over the hump, both for this playoff run and the next 2 to 3 to come, because they feel like their team and their defense is otherwise ready for it, then I think Max at the trade deadline makes a lot of sense. But you want to see first, okay, Christian Parker, your scheme, like how much are you ready for that? Or are you not just one player away?
You know, it is kind of an offshoot of that. The most interesting part of that story to me, because we've all talked about where the Ravens slimy and this all blah, 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 blah. You get to the end and they start talking about the Raiders' reaction to this. And look, there's 2 sides of the story. The Raiders want to push a certain agenda. I do get that. Yeah. But I do trust this, that they're saying John Spytek was basically like calm about it. Like he wasn't dog cussing the Ravens or anything. He's kind of just like, okay, that's fine. We ended up getting an all-pro player back. And I think it's something I've kind of got my head around. I did power rankings this morning, as we all do. I do all the time. I do power rankings when my boss Joey tells me to. I've ranked every team's offseason. Who's had the best offseason so far? And one of the things I wrote in the Raiders thing was, look, this isn't bad. It's, yeah, maybe long-term that those 2 first-round picks would have worked out, but they got back one of the best players in the NFL. This is pretty good for the Raiders. And so I wonder if they're just kind of like, you know, you talk about, first 4 weeks of the season, some teams start strong. Maybe you want to go and talk to the Raiders about getting Maxx Crosby, but I wonder what the Raiders are like. You know what? We kind of like Max. And I don't think they were disingenuous at all when they were at the combine saying, we don't really want to trade Maxx Crosby. I believe that. I do. They did because they got a really good offer from the Ravens, and they're going to listen because they're a smart organization now, I guess. But I don't think that they're just wanting to trade Maxx Crosby away. I think they're really comfortable. And I thought that part of the story was actually really interesting, that the Raiders were like, oh, okay, we got Max back. Great.
Yeah. And it's why when we did winners and losers, I said the Raiders won. They won free agency. Yep. Now, they maybe if things were different, they wouldn't have spent the way they spent, right? Like a guy in a Vegas bender. At 2 a.m, they're spending. They would never admit that now, that in any way the Ravens' decision affected the way they went about their offseason or their 48 hours there of free agency. But they're a better team now than they were then, and they still have Maxx Crosby. They got to pay him, but they still have Maxx Crosby.
And the other key winner here is Fernando Mendoza, because Fernando Mendoza is coming to a much better team than it looked a month ago, I should say, because I don't think the Raiders, and the Raiders don't think the Raiders would have gone out and signed all of these guys if they still had Maxx Crosby on the books. But now they did, and so now they have more talent, and they got to put it all together. But I also firmly believe that when you bring a rookie quarterback into your organization, the better the run game, offensive line, defense, to take the pressure off him rather than just support him leading and elevating the team, that's what's going to allow him to develop. And now with Maxx Crosby back, Fernando Mendoza will have more of that infrastructure.
Absolutely. We all agree on that. And we also agree it is going to be the story that keeps on giving. No matter what the Ravens do week 1 or the Raiders do week 1, it will be talked about. No matter let's say whoever the Ravens take at 14, the pick that was going to Vegas, but now the Ravens keep it. That guy will be tracked compared to Maxx Crosby. The first time Crosby gets 3 sacks in a game and the Ravens lose because they have no pass rush. Look, it is the story that will keep on giving. Exactly. Right? The entire season. Joe Flacco's back. He said he wanted to start. He's going back to Cincinnati. Roll the tape.
I feel like I have unfinished business. That's part of why I'm still here and playing, and not being one of those guys to go sign somewhere. Yeah, it pisses me off a little bit, but I feel like I can help a team win. And yeah, it may be in a different role here, but I do still think I can help this team win in that role. I had a lot of fun with Joe, and Joe's the guy. And believe me, I wish I was a guy somewhere. And I think teams are dumb for not having me be that guy. But it is what it is, and I'm not going to let them or it get me down. I'm going to be the person I am and just approach football the way I always have.
I want Joe Flacco to play forever because I love the guy. But if and when he hangs it up, I want to hear him calling a game and hear him just go, man, I think that call's dumb. That call's dumb. Why would you ever do that? It's just
I gotta say that
stupid. Yeah.
When I heard him say this, it did remind me of Shedeur Sanders saying in the middle of the year last year, I think I can play for teams, and I think there are teams who should be starting me over their starters. I think Joe Flacco's got a much stronger case than Shedeur had then and probably still has now. So while I'm not sure that Joe is significantly better than any team starter right now, I don't disagree with him that he's still got something left in the tank. I think he's shown us that in recent years, and I understand where his confidence is coming from other than just the fact of, hey, blind confidence allows you to play better.
Real quick, Jori, you're going to learn something. Me and Andrew have already learned this. Once you get to a certain age, you start not really caring what people think about you anymore. It's the kids might call it DGAF. And there's a lot of that when you get into your 40s, maybe even your late 40s. And I think Joe's at that point, and I love it. He's like, I don't care. I'm letting it rip, whatever. I'm going to call other teams dumb for not signing me. And I love it. Go ahead, Joe. Be bitter old man Joe, because I'm with you. I'm with you, buddy.
But he's bitter and funny old man.
Bitter and funny, yes.
Like
not
his
bitter,
rant on TikTok last year, I think during mandatory minicamp, was amazing. Like and I was standing right in front of him.
When he was talking about two-a-days?
Two-a-days and then TikTok. And like, you were there that day, right?
I was there that day.
Yeah, he
was so grumpy old man and proud of it vibes. And Shedeur was making fun of him for it.
He'll learn to someday. Shedeur will learn to someday. 20 years down the road, he'll get there.
He was asked today, now that you're the backup again, like who is your favorite backup? And he said Tyrod. He said Tyrod and I spent a lot of time together. And the question was kind of like, tell me all your favorite backups. He just said Tyrod. And he was like, he praised Tyrod, and then that's where he left it there. All right. Let's do one more thing. Frank, yours is a good one, and it is quarterback related.
Yes, you just mentioned like this is the Maxx Crosby thing is going to be the story of the NFL season. I don't necessarily disagree, but we're forgetting actually it's the biggest story of the NFL season, and that's a certain two-time MVP, three-time, I believe, Super Bowl MVP, who's coming back from a torn ACL. That we really haven't paid much attention to it because there haven't been that many updates. But today, Patrick Mahomes goes out on a practice field, and he doesn't do much. He just was dropping back. He's wearing a sleeve on his leg. He looked a little gimpy, but just seeing Patrick Mahomes late March throwing a football made me feel good. Should make Chiefs fans feel good. Should make the Chiefs feel good. Should make every NFL fan feel good. I don't care. This whole this Mahomes negativity. It's sort of like, shut up about that. Patrick Mahomes is one of the greatest of all time already. I want him on the field healthy week one. I was really happy today to see him on the field throwing a football. Even if it wasn't much, still great to see Patrick Mahomes doing really well in his recovery.
But if not, Justin Fields starting his fourth week one game in 4 years for 4 different teams would also be a cool story, as much as we'd like to see Mahomes come back. Jori, what do you got?
Yeah, on the league call today regarding rule changes and changes of rules that will not be happening, the tush-push ban is not under consideration this year. So this is not the type of thing where they say it's safe forever, but there's kind of 3 tiers here. 1, people don't really care. 2, the tush-push, which was already infrequent play, was even less frequent this past season. And then 3, and I think this is the most interesting, the NFL has data that the quarterback sneak is actually more successful than the tush push. So the regular quarterback sneak is more successful. And so if this is not actually creating a competitive disadvantage, who's going to care to take it out?
All right. So no, the tush push is tabled. I don't know. Build off that. No tush push conversation, at least not officially on the record next week. My one more thing is this. We now know when the season will begin. It's going to open on a Wednesday. Wednesday, the 9th of September, 9/9/26. The Seahawks will open against opponent to be named later. You're like, wait a minute. Wednesday? Huh? What? That's because the Rams and the 49ers are going to play on what will be Thursday evening in the US of A, but Friday morning in Australia on the other side of the international date line. They're going to kick at 10:35 in the morning in Australia to make it a 5:35 kickoff Thursday night. And there are going to be plenty of people screaming at trees, up in arms. How dare you start the season on a Wednesday? Guys, we've done it before. In 2012, we started the season on a Wednesday. The Giants hosted the opener coming off a Super Bowl win. Why? Because a senator from Illinois was going to accept the nomination at the Democratic National Convention on Thursday. That guy would go on to be president. So they said, we don't want to go up against that. So they moved the game to Wednesday. The world didn't end. We've also played Wednesdays during COVID, right? The Browns and the Raiders.
Wednesday before Thanksgiving.
Yeah, the Wednesday before Thanksgiving last year. Yep. So, or Christmas Eve last year was on a Wednesday, and we're going to do it this year, the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. It's not the end of the world. It's any given Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, or Saturday. All the days.
End of the world.
Apply.
As we know it, and I feel
something needs to be sacred.
The end
of
the
Wednesday.
world.
Come on, can we have Wednesday?
You know what's the end of the world? That Nick Mullins couldn't complete a pass on that replacement game, and the Browns didn't get in the playoffs. One of the reasons in that replacement game where they played it on a Wednesday, when it was the Raiders and the Browns on a Wednesday, that COVID game, that awful COVID game, and Daniel Carlson at the game winner. Was it a Tuesday? I thought it was a Wednesday.
I thought
the
Steelers played on a Wednesday afternoon.
Yeah.
It was like Wednesday, like 3 o'clock, and there was NFL on. It was so weird.
And it was the end of the world, right?
Remember when the Ravens played the Steelers with like 30 guys
that
were out with COVID?
Broncos played without a quarterback.
Yes. Right.
Unbelievable.
It happens.
That actually happened in our lifetime. Yeah.
It totally happens. And then the Niners played an NFC Championship game without a quarterback because they mismanaged their roster. But that's an entirely different story. They just blamed it on the rules. They just mismanaged their roster. But I digress. All right, that's the show for today, friends. That was fun. Thanks to Jori, who did replace C-Rob today, who was unable to make the show. So she's not a replacement NFL senior writer at Yahoo. She's just slid in and helped replace C-Rob today. We'll be back soon. And thanks to Frank as well. My name is Andrew. Thanks to you for listening to and watching, for that matter, Inside Coverage on Yahoo. So long.